waltz spun on, a glittering cage of silk and shadow. My heart, a quiet prisoner, watched the masked faces blur beneath the candlelight, longing for a freedom it dared not claim. Each flickering flame mirrored a secret desire, hidden deep within the rustle of 100 silk gowns. Charts. The grand staircase, usually a stage for bold declarations, became a quiet alcove for veiled courtesies. Lord Ashcombe, a man of impeccable lineage and an unsettlingly perceptive gaze, approached. His smile, though perfectly amiable, held a hint of something deeper, a recognition I both feared and secretly yearned for. "Lady Evelina," he murmured, his voice a low timbre that resonated through the hushed air. "You float through this evening like a dream, untouched by the gaiety, yet undeniably its heart." My fingers tightened on my fan, the ivory cool against my skin. "Lord Ashcombe, your compliments are as abundant as the stars tonight," I replied, my voice a carefully modulated whisper, betraying none of the internal turmoil his presence always stirred. He merely chuckled, a soft, knowing sound. "And your wit, Lady Evelina, is as sharp as your beauty is radiant. A dangerous combination indeed." He paused, his gaze lingering, as if searching for a truth I desperately sought to conceal. One must wonder what thoughts truly dance behind those captivating eyes. I offered a polite, practiced smile, a mask as intricate as any at the masquerade. "Only those proper to a lady of my station, my lord," I insisted, the lie a bitter taste on my tongue. He leaned closer, the faint scent of his cologne, cedar and something wild, untamed, reaching me. "And what does a lady of your station truly desire, I wonder, when the world demands only what is expected?" The question hung in the air, a delicate thread of tension, threatening to unravel the carefully constructed tapestry of my composure. I turned my head slightly, feigning interest in a passing couple, but the heat of his gaze remained, a silent challenge to my guarded heart. 0:15. Back in my private chamber, the distant strains of waltz music drifted through the open window, carried on the cool night air. Moonlight, a pale, ethereal wash, filtered through the silk curtains, painting the room in shades of silver and shadow. Here, in this sanctuary, the mask I wore for society could finally fall. My gaze drifted to the small mahogany desk, where a collection of old wax-sealed letters lay hidden beneath a velvet cloth. Each one a whispered memory, each one a stolen moment from a time when duty had not yet forged such heavy chains upon my heart. I ran a trembling finger over the faded script, a ghost of a name echoing in my mind. Julian. His face, etched in the precious amber of memory, appeared before me, eyes like polished jade, a smile that promised both mischief and solace. We had exchanged these letters in secret, each word a desperate plea for understanding, a silent testament to a love that society deemed utterly forbidden. He, a scholar with no title, no fortune, only a heart as vast and open as the summer sky. I, a noblewoman, bound by the rigid expectations of my family, destined for a match that would secure our lineage and elevate our standing. The conflict between pride and passion, between the dictates of my station and the fervent yearnings of my soul, was a constant, aching battle within me. My family, Lord and Lady Hartwood, had made it abundantly clear. A love match was a luxury I could not afford. My elder sister Eleanor had already secured her position with a respectable, if uninspired, alliance. Now it was my turn. Lord Ashcombe, with his vast estates and impeccable connections, was the chosen suitor, a man whose presence at my side would silence any whispers of impropriety and secure my future. Yet his subtle, knowing glances only served to deepen my quiet torment. Did he suspect? Did he see the echoes of a forbidden past in my eyes? The thought sent a shiver through me, not of fear, but of a fierce, protective longing. I recalled a moonlit evening, much like this one, when Julian and I had met in the hidden alcoves of the Heartwood Gardens. His touch, so gentle yet so firm, had ignited a fire in my soul that even years of societal pressure could not extinguish. "Evelina," he had whispered, his voice a balm to my troubled spirit, "our love is a defiant bloom. hidden from the world, but no less real. I had believed him. Oh, how I had wanted to believe him. But the world I had learned was a harsh gardener, quick to uproot any flower that dared to grow outside its carefully cultivated borders. The distant tolling of the chapel bells, a mournful, solitary sound in the quiet of the night, seemed to underscore the impossible chasm between us. It was a bell that would ring for a wedding, perhaps, but never for our wedding. My heart, a fragile thing, ached with the weight of that truth, yet a stubborn spark of defiance still flickered within. How could one choose honor when it demanded the sacrifice of one's very soul? Chapitre 30. The ballroom floor, a swirling vortex of color and sound, pulsed with the energy of 100 noble hearts, many of them as guarded and calculating as my own. Crystal chandeliers, suspended like frozen tears, cast a glittering, impartial light over the scene, illuminating both the dazzling smiles and the subtle, venomous glances. I moved through the crowd, a phantom amidst the revelry, acutely aware of the whispers that followed me like shadows. Duchess Marith, a woman whose tongue was as sharp as her wit, angled her fan just so, her eyes, though seemingly fixed on Lord Ashcombe, darting to catch my reaction. Lady Penelope, her face a mask of feigned concern, leaned into her companion, her hushed words carrying just enough to reach my ears. Such a pity, isn't it? The Heartwood girl, so beautiful, yet so enigmatic. One wonders what secrets she harbors. Lord Ashcombe, ever the perfect gentleman, materialized at my side, his presence a shield against the rising tide of gossip, yet also a subtle reminder of the path my family had chosen for me. The air tonight is thick with speculation, Lady Evelina, he murmured, his voice low, intimate, meant only for my ears. Appearances, alas, are everything in our world. One must be exceedingly careful not to give the gossips any fodder for their cruel amusements. His words, though seemingly a warning, felt like a veiled accusation, a subtle prodding to conform. He knew. I could feel it in the way his gaze lingered, in the almost imperceptible tightening of his jaw. The weight of his unspoken understanding pressed down on me, heavy and suffocating. I forced a brittle smile. Indeed, Lord Ashcombe, one must never underestimate the power of a well-placed whisper. The bitterness in my tone was subtle, I hoped, but the truth beneath it was a raw wound. Every glittering glassware, every shifting candle shadow, every murmured comment felt like a direct assault, chipping away at the fragile edifice of my composure. The rules of this world were unforgiving, designed to trap hearts like mine in a gilded cage. I longed to scream, to shatter the elegant illusion, to demand honesty in a world that valued only artifice. But the societal cage was too strong, its bars too numerous. The dance continued around us, a symphony of polite deception, and I felt myself sinking deeper into the quicksand of expectation, each step a further betrayal of my own heart. Narasher 45. I sought refuge in a secluded gallery alcove, hidden by heavy velvet drapes that muffled the distant piano notes. The air here was softer, imbued with the faint scent of gardenias from a nearby vase. But even in this quiet sanctuary, the storm within me raged. My heart pounded against my ribs, a frantic drum against the silence. Exile. The word echoed in my mind, a chilling pronouncement. To defy my family, to reject Lord Ashcombe, and the future they had meticulously planned, meant not just scandal, but utter ruin. It meant banishment from society, a life stripped of title, of comfort, of respect. The damp marble floor beneath my slippers felt cold, a premonition of the isolation that awaited me. Yet a stubborn, insistent voice whispered back, "What is a life without love? What is honor if it demands the sacrifice of your very soul?" A vivid flash of memory, so potent it stole my breath, brought Julian's face before me. His hands calloused from years of turning ancient texts, gently cupping my face. His eyes full of a love so profound it eclipsed all reason. We had spoken of a life together, a simple cottage perhaps, filled with books and laughter, far from the suffocating expectations of the ton. It had been a foolish, impossible dream, born of youthful passion, yet it was a dream that still clung to the edges of my heart, refusing to be extinguished. The yearning to break free, to cast off these gilded chains, grew stronger, a desperate, almost primal urge. I could feel the invisible threads of duty and expectation tightening around me, threatening to choke the last vestiges of my true self. The thought of a lifetime of polite smiles and empty conversations, of a heart forever yearning for what it could not have, was a fate far more terrifying than any social exile. My breath hitched, a silent sob caught in my throat. I stood at a precipice, balanced precariously between the demands of my world and the undeniable truth of my heart. The choice I knew was a sacred one, a choice that would define not just my future, but the very essence of who I was. Chapter 1. The secluded garden terrace, usually a place of quiet contemplation, hummed with a different kind of tension tonight. The night air, cool and scented with jasmine, carried the soft rustle of leaves, a gentle counterpoint to the tumultuous pounding of my heart. I had sought Lord Ashcombe here, drawn by an inexplicable force, a desperate need for truth in a world of artifice. He stood by the stone balustrade, his silhouette stark against the moonlight, his presence commanding even in stillness. I approached him, each step a tremor of both fear and resolve. The decision, wrought in the quiet desperation of my chamber, had solidified into an unshakable conviction. I could not, would not betray my heart any longer. "Lord Ashcombe," I began, my voice barely a whisper, yet it felt as though I was shouting it from the rooftops. He turned, his gaze falling upon me, sharp and questioning. "Lady Evelina," he replied, his tone devoid of his usual playful charm, mirroring the gravity of the moment. "You sought me out." I swallowed, my throat suddenly dry. "I did. There is something I must confess." The words, once so terrifying, now felt like a desperate plea for liberation. "I cannot accept your suit." A flicker of surprise, quickly veiled, crossed his features. "Indeed? I confess I am somewhat taken aback. Have I offended you?" "No, my lord," I hurried to assure him, my hands clenching at my sides. "You have been nothing but a gentleman of the highest order. But my heart belongs to another." The admission hung in the air, heavy and fragile, illuminated by the pale moonlight on dewy leaves. His shadowed face gave nothing away. "Another?" he finally asked, his voice low, almost a murmur. "And who is this individual who has captured the heart of the incomparable Lady Evelina?" His tone was carefully neutral, but I detected an undercurrent of something. Disappointment? Curiosity? "His name is Julian," I whispered, the name a sacred invocation, a truth finally set free. "He is a scholar without title or fortune, but he holds my heart more completely than any duke or marquis ever could." I saw his jaw tighten, a subtle clenching that spoke of inner conflict. "A scholar," he repeated, the word laced with a faint, almost imperceptible disdain, a reflection of his world's rigid values. "And you would sacrifice your position, your family's honor, for this scholar?" My chin lifted, a surge of defiant courage lending strength to my voice. "I would sacrifice everything, my lord, for true love, for a love that sees beyond titles and wealth to the very soul of a person." His gaze, which had been distant, now sharpened, piercing through my carefully constructed facade. "And what of the scandal, Lady Evelina? What of the ruin you would bring upon your family, upon yourself?" The question was a brutal reminder of the world's unforgiving nature, but it no longer held the power to paralyze me. "I am prepared to face it," I declared, my voice trembling slightly but firm. "I would rather live a life of honest struggle with the man I love than a gilded lie with one I do not." A long silence stretched between us, filled only by the chirping of crickets and the distant strains of the waltz, now sounding mournful. He took a slow step towards me, then another, until he stood close enough for me to feel the warmth radiating from him. His eyes, usually so guarded, held a complex mixture of anger, respect, and something else, a profound melancholy. "You are a woman of immense courage, Lady Evelina," he finally said, his voice husky with emotion. "And I I confess I admire you for it. He reached out, his hand hovering for a moment, then gently cut my cheek. His touch was unexpected, tender, a silent acknowledgement of the raw vulnerability I had exposed. But a path such as this, he continued, his thumb stroking my skin, is fraught with peril. Are you truly certain, Evelina, that this Julian loves you with the same fierce devotion you offer him? The question, so gentle yet so piercing, struck me to the core. It was a doubt I had buried deep, a fear I dared not voice. But in this moment of raw honesty, I could not lie. I believe he does, I whispered, the uncertainty a fragile tremor in my voice. He merely nodded, his expression softening further, a flicker of understanding passing between us. He knew the cost of such a love, the sacrifices it demanded, and, perhaps, the profound joy it promised. This was not the rejection I had expected, but a solemn, almost sacred acknowledgement of a love he understood, even if he could not share it. The moonlight on our shadowed faces seemed to bless this whispered confession, a silent vow made not to society, but to our own hearts. 12:15. The following days felt like walking through a hive of angry bees. Every drawing room, every corridor within the estate buzzed with whispers, the air thick with innuendo. Duchess Mareth, her fan now a weapon, concealed a smirk behind fluttering ivory. "Did you hear?" I overheard her murmur to Lady Penelope, her voice a silken lash. "Lady Evelina, refusing Lord Ashcombe, for a mere scholar, they say." Lady Penelope gasped, her eyes wide with feigned shock. "My dear, how scandalous! Such a blight upon the Heartwood name." Servants, usually invisible, exchanged knowing glances as I passed, their hushed conversations punctuated by the clinking of teacups and the rustle of their uniforms. I walked through the opulent halls, each gilded frame and polished surface reflecting back a distorted image of myself, framed by judgment. Accusations, thinly veiled, followed me like a scent. "Prideful," one lady hissed, mistaking my quiet dignity for haughtiness. "Foolish," another sighed, lamenting my supposed ruin. The jealousy of those who coveted Lord Ashcombe's hand, combined with the suspicion of those who valued reputation above all else, fueled the fire. It was an oppressive atmosphere, anxious and isolating, making every breath a conscious effort. I felt like a specimen under a microscope, every movement, every expression dissected and judged. The grand estate, once a haven, had become a prison of whispers, its beauty now a cruel mockery of my internal turmoil. Sunday 1:30. The family drawing room, usually a place of polite, if sometimes stiff conversation, now felt like a courtroom. Heavy drapes were drawn, lending the room a somber, claustrophobic air, and the polished wood of the furniture seemed to absorb all sound, amplifying the tension. Lord and Lady Heartwood sat opposite me, their faces grim, a tableau of parental disappointment. My cousin Edward, ever the voice of reason and familial pride, stood by the mantelpiece, his expression a mixture of pity and exasperation. "Evelina," my father began, his voice a low, controlled rumble that rarely boded well. "What is this egregious folly we hear? Refusing Lord Ashcombe? For a man of no consequence?" My mother, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, added, "Do you have any conception of the scandal you have wrought upon our family, child? Your sister's reputation, my own standing in society, all jeopardized by your recklessness." Edward cleared his throat. "Evelina, you must reconsider. Ashcombe is a catch. This scholar of yours, I understand, has neither title nor fortune. You would be exiled, shunned. Do you truly wish to condemn yourself to such a fate?" I met their gazes, my own quiet defiance burning within. My heart, father, is not an asset to be bartered for social standing. My happiness is not a commodity to be traded for a title. My mother gasped, a delicate, horrified sound. "Happiness? What happiness can there be in penury and disgrace?" My father slammed a fist lightly on the armrest of his chair. "You speak of happiness, Evelina, when you risk bringing ruin upon us all. This scholar cannot offer you the protection, the security that Lord Ashcombe can. He cannot even provide for you. He spoke of exile, of social death, of the doors of society slamming shut forever. I listened, my heart aching, but refusing to break. Their words, though harsh, were born of a misguided love, a love that understood only the world's harsh realities, not the sacred truth of the heart. The glinting silver on the side table seemed to mock the hollowness of their arguments. I will not betray myself, I stated, my voice soft but resolute, even if it means losing all I possess. The room fell silent, heavy with the weight of my unspoken love and the terrifying, exhilarating freedom of my choice. 1:45. In the quiet solitude of my private chamber, a single candle flickered, casting a warm, unsteady glow. The world outside, with its judgments and its demands, receded into a distant hum. I sat at my letter-writing desk, a blank sheet of parchment before me, a quill poised in my trembling hand. This letter, I knew, would be a silent vow to my heart, a testament to the choice I had made. It was not a farewell, but a declaration, a promise to Julian and to myself that I would pursue a love deemed forbidden, regardless of the cost. My thoughts flowed onto the page, an intimate confession of my fear, my resolve, and my unwavering hope. I wrote of the painful arguments with my family, of their threats of exile and disgrace, and of my quiet defiance. I described the suffocating weight of societal expectations, the whispers behind fans, the icy stares. But more importantly, I wrote of him, of his kind eyes, his gentle touch, the way he had awakened a part of me I had thought forever lost. I acknowledged my pride, the foolishness of clinging to a world that did not truly value me, and the grace I sought in choosing authenticity over artifice. The quill scratched softly, a rhythmic counterpoint to the beating of my heart. Shadows played across the walls, dancing with the candle flame, as if mirroring the inner struggle and eventual peace I found in this act. I sealed the letter with my personal wax, the heartwood crest, no longer a symbol of constraint, but one of a courage newly discovered. It was a choice born of both passion and sacrifice, a love that demanded everything and offered in return a future unknown, yet infinitely more real. This letter, once dispatched, would set a course from which there would be no turning back. The grand ballroom, a dazzling spectacle of crystal chandeliers and swirling dancers, felt less like a celebration and more like a gladiatorial arena. Tonight was the Duchess of Meredith's annual summer ball, and every noble eye in London seemed fixed on me. As I made my entrance, clinging to my father's arm, the hushed conversation ceased, replaced by a ripple of open stares and thinly veiled insults. It was a gauntlet of judgment, each glance a poisoned dart, each whisper a cutting remark. My heart, though pounding, was resolute. I had prepared for this. Duchess Meredith, a predatory gleam in her eyes, offered a smile that did not reach her lips. Lady Evelina, how brave of you to attend, given the unfortunate circumstances. Her words, meant to wound, merely strengthened my resolve. Lady Penelope, ever eager to join the fray, chimed in. Indeed, one might mistake courage for mere recklessness. I met their gazes, my own expression carefully neutral. I find, ladies, that true courage lies in facing one's truth, rather than hiding behind gilded facades. A few gasps punctuated the murmurs, but I pressed on, drawing strength from my conviction. Lord Ashcombe, ever the enigma, appeared at my side, his presence a complex mix of support and subtle condemnation. Lady Evelina, you are the undeniable center of attention tonight. His tone was ambiguous, a challenge more than a compliment. The glittering gowns and glinting eyes of the surrounding nobility blurred into a judgmental sea. I felt suffocated by their scrutiny, but beneath the fear, a spark of defiance glowed. I would not cower. I would not allow their whispers to define me. This was my battle, and I would face it with every ounce of dignity I possessed. Chuluru 15. The waltz music seemed to fade into a distant hum as Lord Ashcombe led me to the center of the ballroom, every eye in the room now fixed upon us. The crystal chandeliers overhead seemed to intensify their glow, spotlighting us for the inevitable public confrontation. His hand, though firm on my back, felt like a silent accusation. He stopped, facing me, his expression grave, yet with that familiar, unsettling glint in his eyes. Duchess Marith and Lady Penelope, along with a throng of other nobles, closed in, a circle of silent, eager spectators. Lady Evelina, Lord Ashcombe began, his voice carrying clearly through the suddenly hushed ballroom. There have been rumors, whispers of a rejection, of a preference for a match quite beneath your station. I must ask, before this matter escalates further, is there any truth to these scandalous claims? The question was a direct challenge, a public demand for my surrender. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. This was it. My heart pounded, but a strange calm settled over me. There is truth, my lord, I declared, my voice ringing with a clarity I hadn't known I possessed. I have indeed declined your most generous offer, and yes, my heart is given to another. The nobles gasped louder, their shocked faces a blur of disbelief. Duchess Marith scoffed, her fan snapping shut. To a scholar? A commoner? Have you no sense of decorum, girl? Lord Ashcombe held up a hand, silencing the immediate outcry. His gaze, though intense, seemed to search for something in mine. And what, pray tell, does this man offer that I cannot? He pressed, his question laced with a subtle challenge to my convictions. He offers a love that sees me, truly sees me, I replied, my voice imbued with a passion that silenced even the most hardened cynics. A love that values my heart above my title, my spirit above my dowry. He offers a life built on truth and genuine affection, not on societal expectations and convenient alliances. My words, born of raw honesty, seemed to hang in the air, defiant and unyielding. I could feel the heat in my cheeks, the tremble in my voice, but I refused to cower. This was my truth, and I would speak it, no matter the cost. The air crackled with tension, but amidst the shocked faces, I saw a flicker of something in Lord Ashcombe's eyes. Not anger, but a profound, almost weary understanding. It was a moment of climactic emotional and social tension, where I finally asserted my sacred right to choose. Zotaru 30. I retreated to the moonlit terrace, the cool night air a balm to my flushed cheeks. The distant waltz music, once a source of torment, now sounded melancholic, a gentle lament for the life I had just cast aside. My confrontation with Lord Ashcombe had been a whirlwind of emotion, a public display of defiance that left me both exhilarated and utterly drained. I leaned against the stone balustrade, my gaze sweeping over the sleeping gardens, silvered by the moonlight. A profound sense of vulnerability washed over me, a raw exposure of my deepest desires. But with it came an equally profound sense of relief. The mask was finally off. The burden of secrecy had been lifted. I had spoken my truth, and the world had heard it. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with peril and the very real threat of exile. Yet a quiet hope blossomed in my heart, a tender, persistent bloom. I had chosen love over duty, passion over pride, and in doing so, I had reclaimed a part of myself I thought forever lost. The gentle breeze rustled through the leaves, a soft whisper of affirmation. I closed my eyes, picturing Julian's face, his kind smile. My commitment to follow my heart, once a hidden desire, was now a conscious, unwavering choice. The twinkling stars above seemed to bear witness to my silent vow, a promise whispered into the vast, indifferent night. I was ready, ready for the consequences, ready for the struggle, ready for a love that, though forbidden, was undeniably real. Lunar 2:45. Dawn light, pale and hesitant, began to filter through the window of my chamber, illuminating the scattered letters and wax seals on my desk. The ink, still damp on some pages, felt like the fresh tears of a new day. I had spent the long hours before sunrise pouring my heart onto paper, not just to Julian, but to those who mattered most in my world. There was a letter to my parents fraught with pain and apology, yet unwavering in its resolve. I explained my choice, not as an act of defiance, but as an act of profound self-preservation, a yearning for authenticity that superseded all social expectations. I begged for their understanding, even as I knew it might be denied. Another letter, penned with a trembling hand, was for my sister, Eleanor. To her, I expressed my love and my sorrow for any unintended pain my actions might cause. I hoped she, at least, would comprehend the depth of my heart, the impossibility of a life lived without true affection. And then the letter to Julian, the longest, most intimate of all. In it, I reaffirmed my love, laid bare my fears and my hopes, and outlined the courageous, uncertain path I now chose to walk. Each stroke of the quill was a physical and emotional catharsis, releasing years of suppressed longing and the heavy weight of unspoken words. I felt a weariness deep in my bones, but also a profound sense of peace. The crumpled papers around me were testament to the struggle, but the neatly sealed envelopes, ready for dispatch, symbolized acceptance and a fierce, unyielding hope. Sunlight began to cast a warm glow across the room, touching the steady hand that held the final letter. I was embracing a future unknown, one defined not by title or wealth, but by the courage of my heart. It was a poignant moment of decision, a quiet testament to the enduring power of love to reshape one's destiny, one carefully chosen word at a time. 3. The palace chapel, usually a sanctuary of hushed prayers, now held a gathering of nobles, their faces a mix of curiosity, disapproval, and a few genuine concern. Stained glass windows cast kaleidoscopic patterns of colored light across the ancient stone floor, illuminating the tension that thrummed in the air. The soft, rhythmic tolling of the chapel bells seemed to underscore the gravity of the moment, each chime a heartbeat of destiny. I stood at the altar, my heart a tumultuous drum in my chest, my gaze fixed on the chapel doors. Julian was late. A wave of doubt, cold and sharp, threatened to engulf me. Had my courage been misplaced? Had I foolishly sacrificed everything for a love that might not meet me halfway? Then the doors swung open. Julian stood there, bathed in the morning light, his eyes, those familiar jade pools, searching for mine. A collective gasp rippled through the assembled guests. He was dressed simply, a stark contrast to the opulent finery of the nobility, but his presence was more commanding than any title could convey. He walked towards me, his stride purposeful, his gaze never leaving mine, a silent testament to his unwavering commitment. Lord Ashcombe, who had been standing with my family, stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "Julian," he stated, his voice carrying through the hushed chapel, "I believe you have something to say." Julian reached me, taking my hands in his touch warm and reassuring. He turned to face the assembled crowd, his grip on my hands tightening, drawing strength from my presence. "My lords, ladies, and members of the Heartwood family," he began, his voice clear and resonant, filling the ancient chapel. "I stand before you today not as a man of title or fortune, but as a man who loves Evelina Heartwood with every fiber of his being." My mother gasped. My father's jaw tightened. But Julian continued, his voice unwavering. "I understand the scandal this may cause, the societal conventions we defy, but I offer Evelina not a gilded cage, but a life of true partnership, of shared intellect and unwavering devotion." He turned back to me, his eyes shining with a fierce, tender light. "Evelina, my dearest, you have shown me a courage I never knew existed. You have chosen love above all else, and for that, my heart will forever be yours." He knelt before me, a profound gesture that stunned the onlookers into absolute silence. "Will you, Evelina Heartwood, accept my hand, my heart, and build a life with me in defiance of a world that would separate us?" Tears welled in my eyes, blurring the rainbow light from the stained glass. This was not the grand proposal of a nobleman, but something far more sacred, a vow born of true love and profound sacrifice. "Yes," I whispered, the word a joyous exhalation. 1,000 times, yes. I knelt with him, my hands clasping his, sealing our mutual vow not just before God, but before all those who had come to judge. A few sniffles were heard from the back, and I saw my sister Eleanor discreetly wiping a tear from her eye. Even Lord Ashcombe offered a small, almost imperceptible nod of approval, a sign of reconciliation I hadn't dared to hope for. Julian rose, pulling me gently to my feet, and for a long moment, we simply stood there, hands clasped, our eyes locked in a silent promise. The chapel bells seemed to ring louder now, not mournfully, but with a triumphant, uplifting peal, celebrating not just a union, but the victory of love over expectation. It was a tender, triumphant moment, a public acknowledgement of a love that had defied all odds, marking the peak emotional resolution of our long-held longing. 3:15. 2 weeks later, the palace balcony at dawn offered a canvas of soft golden light, painting the waking kingdom in hues of hope. Distant birdsong, sweet and clear, replaced the usual clamor of the court. I leaned against Julian, his strong arms wrapped around me, his familiar scent of aged parchment and fresh air a comforting anchor. The crisp morning breeze stirred my hair, and I felt a peace I had never truly known before, a tranquility born of authenticity. We stood in silence for a long moment, simply breathing in the promise of a new day, a new life. "Any regrets, my love?" Julian murmured, his voice a low rumble against my ear, echoing the very words of my secret heart. He pressed a soft kiss to the sensitive spot just below my ear, sending a shiver of pure contentment through me. I turned in his arms, meeting his gaze, my hand tracing the strong line of his jaw. "Only that I did not find the courage sooner," I confessed, my voice soft, tinged with a lingering wistfulness for the years lost to fear and expectation. "But perhaps," I added, a gentle smile blooming on my lips, "we appreciate this dawn all the more for the long night we endured." He chuckled, a rich, warm sound that resonated deep within my chest. Indeed, every trial, every whisper of doubt, only solidified the truth of our affection. We spoke of the past trials, the public confrontations, the quiet desperation of our separate lives. But our conversation was not steeped in bitterness, rather in a shared understanding, a mutual appreciation for the strength we had found in each other. We planned for the future, not with the grand pronouncements of nobles, but with the simple, heartfelt intentions of two souls intertwined. A small cottage, perhaps, filled with books and laughter, away from the demanding scrutiny of the ton. He would continue his scholarly pursuits, and I would finally write the stories that had lived only in my heart. His eyes, those jade pools that had first captured my soul, now held a depth of love and forgiveness that brought tears to my eyes. "I never imagined a happiness such as this," I whispered, leaning into his embrace, feeling the steady beat of his heart against mine. "Nor I, my Evelina," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. "But now that it is ours, I shall cherish every moment." Our intertwined hands, bathed in the soft morning light, seemed to radiate a quiet joy, a testament to a love that had defied all odds and found its sacred peace. It was a tender, peaceful moment, a confirmation of our bond, laying the foundation for a future built on genuine affection and shared dreams. Surner P30 Wasson. The estate gardens, now vibrant with the full bloom of summer roses, offered a sanctuary of fragrant tranquility. The soft murmur of fountains provided a gentle soundtrack to the tentative healing of relationships. My parents, though still grappling with the unconventional nature of my union, had begun to soften. My mother, Lady Hartwood, approached me one afternoon, her expression less stern, more pensive. "Evelina," she began, her voice unusually soft, "your father and we have observed your contentment. It is not what we had envisioned, but perhaps happiness holds a value we had overlooked." Her admission, though cautious, felt like a blossoming rose after a long winter. I embraced her, a silent offering of forgiveness, and felt the delicate shift in our bond. My sister Eleanor, ever practical but with a deep well of affection, became my staunchest, if quiet, supporter. "You are foolish, dearest," she had said, a wry smile playing on her lips, "but gloriously so. I confess a part of me envies your courage." She was one of the few who truly understood the suffocating weight of expectation, and her support was a precious gift. My closest friends, those who had wavered during the height of the scandal, now returned, their initial curiosity replaced by genuine admiration. Lady Beatrice, once a purveyor of gossip, now offered sincere apologies. I confess, Evelina, I judged you harshly, but seeing your joy, it has made me reflect on my own choices. Julian, ever graceful, navigated these delicate social waters with an innate dignity that impressed even the most skeptical. He spoke of his scholarly pursuits, of the importance of intellectual freedom, and slowly, gently, he began to dismantle the prejudices against him. The flower petals drifting on the fountain surface seemed to symbolize the letting go of past judgments, carried away by the flowing water. Smiles, once forced, now came more easily. The path to acceptance was long, but it was being walked one cautious step at a time. The garden, with its harmonious blend of color and scent, became a metaphor for the slow, beautiful process of reconciliation, a testament to the enduring power of love to mend even the most fractured bonds and foster a new sense of community. 1:3:45. In the quiet sanctuary of my new study, the rhythmic patter of rain softly against the window panes became a soothing cadence. The room, filled with books and the scent of old paper, was a haven, a place where thoughts could unfurl and take flight. I sat at my desk, a fresh sheet of parchment before me, not for a plea or a confession, but for a letter to my past self. It was an exercise Julian had encouraged, a way to acknowledge the journey, the pain, and the profound growth. My dearest Evelina of the past, I began, my pen tracing the words with a steady hand. You stand at the precipice of a choice, a heart torn between duty and desire. The path you envision is fraught with fear, with whispers of scandal and the threat of exile. But trust in the whispers of your own soul, for they speak a truth more sacred than any societal decree. I wrote of the profound lessons learned, that true honor lay not in rigid adherence to rules, but in the courage to be authentic. That pride, though a formidable shield, could also be a prison, and that forgiveness, both for oneself and for others, was the most liberating act of all. The raindrops on the glass seemed to reflect the tears I had once shed, now transformed into pearls of wisdom. I acknowledged the pain of those early days, the agonizing conflict, the fear of losing everything. But I also affirmed the strength I had discovered, the unyielding power of a love that defied convention. The future, my past self, will not be without its challenges, I continued, but it will be a future built on a foundation of truth, of shared dreams, and of a love that blossoms in the quiet corners of genuine affection. Hold fast to hope, and let your heart be your unwavering guide. As I sealed the letter with a fresh wax seal, the soft glow of the desk lamp illuminated the steady strokes of my pen, a testament to a journey completed and a spirit renewed. It was a contemplative moment, a serene reflection on the tapestry of my life, woven with threads of both sorrow and profound joy. The letter, though never to be sent, served as a powerful reminder of the grace found in choosing one's own destiny, and the enduring hope that blossomed from courage and unwavering love. The evening ballroom, now peaceful and hushed, held only the soft, ambient glow of a single chandelier. Its crystal tiers, once glittering with the harsh light of judgment, now cast a warm, comforting radiance, embracing the quiet intimacy of the space. Julian and I stood near the center, the vast expanse around us feeling less daunting, more like a private sanctuary. The distant faint strains of a lone harpist playing a melancholic air added to the serene atmosphere, a gentle echo of our journey. We spoke little, for words often felt inadequate to convey the depth of our shared experience, the profound transformation we had undergone. Instead, our eyes met, a silent glance that spoke volumes, expressing an unspoken love that transcended all societal boundaries. His hand found mine, our fingers intertwining, a simple yet powerful gesture that signaled peace, trust, and an unwavering hope for all our tomorrows. The soft light played across our faces, highlighting the contentment etched there, the quiet joy of two souls finally at rest. I leaned my head on his shoulder, breathing in his familiar, comforting scent. The gentle shadows that danced around us seemed to embrace us, offering a cloister of privacy in the grand hall. It was a moment of profound redemptive serenity, a culmination of all the trials and triumphs. The slow camera pan, if one were to capture this memory, would linger on our clasped hands, on the tender curve of our smiles, on the quiet strength in our shared gaze. This ballroom, once a stage for societal drama, was now a symbol of our quiet victory, a testament to love's sacred power to transform, to heal, and to offer a second chance at a life truly lived. It was not a grand pronouncement, but a tender, enduring peace, the quiet closure of a long and arduous journey. 4:15. 1 year hence, the palace garden truly sang with life. Blossoms in full riotous bloom painted the landscape in every shade imaginable, from soft rose to vibrant fuchsia. Soft sunlight filtered through the leafy canopy, dappling the paths Julian and I now walked hand in hand. The air hummed with the gentle buzz of bees and the sweet, intoxicating scent of summer. This garden, once a place of stolen glances and whispered secrets, was now a testament to our open, flourishing love. "It feels a lifetime ago, does it not?" Julian mused, his thumb gently stroking the back of my hand. "That night at the Duchess's ball, the whispers, the judgment." I nodded, a soft sigh escaping my lips. And yet a part of me remembers it with a strange clarity. It was the crucible, was it not? The moment we truly chose our path, regardless of the cost. We spoke of the past trials not with regret, but with a quiet understanding of how they had forged the strength of our bond. He recalled my fierce declaration, the way my voice had trembled yet remained firm, and a look of profound admiration shone in his eyes. "You were magnificent, Evelina, a lioness defying a den of vipers." I laughed, a genuine, unrestrained sound that echoed through the vibrant garden. "And you, my love, were my unwavering beacon." We talked of the small cottage we had eventually found, nestled on the edge of the estate, far enough from the ceaseless chatter of the ton, yet close enough for occasional visits from my now reconciled family. It was a haven, filled with Julian's books and my stories, with the scent of fresh bread and the sound of our laughter. We had hosted small gatherings, intimate evenings where intellect and genuine conversation were valued above lineage and fortune. My parents, though still occasionally prone to a sigh about what might have been, had truly come to see the profound happiness that Julian brought me. My mother, in a rare moment of candor, had even confessed, "He makes you truly shine, Evelina, more than any title ever could." Julian had continued his work, his latest treatise on ancient philosophy, gaining quiet but significant acclaim among scholars. And I, finally free to pursue my own passions, had begun to write, filling notebooks with tales of courage, love, and defiance, inspired by my own journey. The bright sky above, a limitless expanse of blue, mirrored the boundless hope that now filled our lives. Our conversation flowed easily, a warm, reflective current, touching upon the myriad small joys and occasional challenges of our life together. We had learned that true love was not a fleeting emotion, but a constant, gentle tending, a willingness to face the world as one. This joyful glimpse into our future was a reward for all the patience and courage that had brought us here. Journal 4:30. My study, bathed in the soft morning light, felt like a sacred space. On my desk lay a small pile of letters, not new correspondence, but old ones returned. Each envelope bore its original address, along with a new wax seal, unbroken, signifying acceptance. These were the letters I had penned a year ago, those fraught with apology and unwavering resolve to my family and friends. My mother, in a gesture that touched me deeply, had returned hers with a small, pressed rose petal tucked inside, a symbol of forgiveness and renewed affection. My father's letter came back with a single uncharacteristic word scrawled across the back in his firm hand. Understood. It was all I needed. Eleanor's, of course, was filled with her usual wit, but also a profound warmth. "I confess, my dearest Evelina, I may have misjudged the true measure of a man. Julian possesses a quiet strength that even the most formidable duke might envy. You have, against all odds, carved out a happiness that most of us can only dream of." Her words, once sharp with sisterly exasperation, were now a balm to my soul, a testament to healed bonds. Even Duchess Meredith, in a surprising turn of events, had sent a brief formal note. Lady Evelina, your resilience has been noteworthy. One finds oneself compelled to admire it. It was not an apology, but from the Duchess, it was akin to an endorsement. I reread each message, a profound sense of gratitude washing over me. These returned letters symbolized more than just correspondence. They were tangible proof of forgiveness, of a community slowly, cautiously embracing our unconventional union. The blossoming flowers on my desk, a gift from Julian, seemed to nod in agreement, their vibrant hues reflecting the renewed life and warmth that now filled my world. I had feared exile, but instead I had found acceptance, not by conforming, but by daring to be true to myself. The process of healing was slow, like the gentle unfurling of petals, but it was real. Julian and I had made a conscious effort to rebuild bridges, to extend grace and understanding to those who had once judged us. We understood that some prejudices ran deep, ingrained by generations of rigid tradition, but we also learned that genuine love and consistent kindness could, over time, soften even the hardest hearts. This symbolic return of letters, once laden with the weight of expectation and fear, now brought a sense of reconciliation and uplifting peace, affirming that love, when authentic, could indeed conquer all, even the most entrenched societal norms. Chapter 4:45. Dusk settled over my private chamber, a soft, velvety blanket, as a single candle flame burned steadily on my desk. Its warm, unwavering glow was a silent companion, illuminating the quiet reflections that now filled my evenings. I often found myself drawn to these moments of solitude, a time to contemplate the intricate dance of love, pride, and courage that had shaped my life. My journey had been long, fraught with internal battles and external judgments, but it had led me here, to a place of profound peace. I thought of the cost of love, not in coin or title, but in the fierce, vulnerable act of choosing authenticity over expectation. It demanded the shedding of pride, the willingness to face scorn, and the unwavering belief in one's own heart. Was it not a sacred act, this pursuit of true affection, a defiance of a world that sought to categorize and control? I had learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the resolve to act in spite of it, to whisper one's truth even when the world roared its disapproval. The soft shadows played across the walls, mirroring the complexities of human longing. I closed my eyes, remembering the stinging words, the isolating whispers, but also the gentle touch of Julian's hand, the unwavering light in his eyes. It was a potent reminder that love, when true, possessed an extraordinary power to redeem, to transform, to make one whole. This reflection, intimate and contemplative, allowed me to acknowledge the past without regret, to embrace the present with gratitude, and to look towards the future with an open, hopeful heart. As the candle flickered, its light seemed to expand, filling the room with a gentle warmth, much like the love that now filled my life. I often wondered if others, those who had judged me so harshly, ever found such quiet joy, such profound contentment. Did they too harbor hidden longings, suppressed desires beneath their polished exteriors? My story, I realized, was not just my own. It was a testament to the universal human quest for connection, for acceptance, for a love that felt both sacred and deeply personal. And in this quiet chamber, bathed in the steady glow of a single candle, I found myself inviting them, silently, to consider their own hearts, their own whispers of destiny. Schaffen, man. The soft fade to black came, leaving only the lingering glow of that solitary candlelight. It had been a journey of whispered hopes and shouted truths, of pride humbled and love redeemed. We all carry secrets, do we not? Longings hidden beneath polite smiles, dreams deferred by the weight of expectation. But what if, just for a moment, you dared to listen to that quiet whisper within your own heart? What if you chose courage even when the world demanded conformity? What truth, then, would your love unveil, and what beautiful, unexpected destiny might await you beyond the shadows?